Model 3 production, and you know, I'm usually the last one to defend Tesla on that. I've had my issues with it, but this time around, I'm not really sure if CNBC has done really nearly a good job at all as a journalist. So let's talk about it. Also, there are quite a few other news that we're going to talk about. So let's get going right now.
Taking over the world, electrifying the world, electric.
All right, so this is not something that I do very often. I don't often defend Tesla on the way they're handling their production of Model 3. But this is CNBC report came out, and they are claiming that Tesla has been doing a really poor job with their parts production. As a matter of fact, they talked to a few employees who wanted, and ex-employees who wanted to stay anonymous, and they were claiming that, and this is where I have a problem with this, up to 40% of parts that are made or delivered to Tesla factory are faulty, and then they have to have this huge remanufacturing, they call it, where they get the parts back from the cars that are coming back, where people are claiming that there's something wrong with the car. They're retooling them and then putting them either in the new cars or in the cars that when they have to replace parts on other cars. Now it's very, very blurry. Now Tesla already put out a statement immediately saying that, listen, everybody does this. We don't do it in such numbers as you're reporting. Our team is very small, only 40 people, and this is pretty normal, and we're actually doing a pretty good job with quality control of our cars. Now, I have a problem with that, of course, because we know there's quite a large number of problems with Model 3 and Model S and Model X. I mean, I have to say I've experienced it myself, so I don't know if their quality, production quality people are really working that hard, or maybe there's too many production qualities. However, there hasn't been a major issue with the Model 3. All the issues were within what we've seen with the Model S and with the Model X. Still a lot, okay? But I'm also not buying this whole 40% thing. As soon as I saw that number, I said, okay, wait a second, stop. I'm not, that's just cannot be true, okay? It's impossible to be, the number is too high. Also, when you do an investigative reporting like this, you kind of need to compare Tesla to other manufacturers, right? And they have not put out any numbers, CNBC at all, about what their competitors are doing. Do they have 40 people in their department, or do they have 140 or 400 people, right? How many people do they have per, or how many people they have per 1,000 cars or 100,000 cars that they make? Since we can compare it every time there's a report that something's wrong with Tesla, it's only because there's same thing going on with other manufacturers, and it's pretty normal. But they're taking them apart every time. Remember they were reporting that Teslas were catching on fire when there's only 2 Teslas ever caught on fire, whereas like thousands of gas cars catch on fire like every day. So every time, so whenever you do investigating reporting, CNBC especially, you got to do a better job than that. So I'm definitely disregarding that. But at the same time, I think Tesla also needs to learn a lesson at some point. That, remember we were talking about their 4-day stoppage, where I said, hey guys, they probably should have just kind of let everybody know and made it look like it's a scheduled maintenance of the line, rather than people finding that out and then having them put up a statement. And look, every time there is a report now about any kind of issues with the Tesla Model 3, immediately they mention that 4-day slowdown. This is why they need a better PR, as far as, they know they're under the microscope. So make sure that you are communicating the information your way before people find out. Because once people find out and people report it, then it gets reported, CNBC way, and then Tesla has to defend themselves. Cook says, I despise CNBC, Bloomberg, and Fox Business. They're in the pockets of the fossil fuel industry complex, but also includes the gas and diesel automakers. I hope that they all go out of business. So, I mean, obviously CNBC has not been the most constructive criticism type of a company. They have their own agenda, just like all of them. But yeah, they're not exactly a fan of green energy. Very hard to debunk mainstream media reports, says Gary in New York. And Physics says you can't simply compare numbers of cars on fires work it out on percentage, which we know electric is only 1% purchased, so a few electric cars are actually high. Yeah, well, there's only like 2 that ever caught on fire, and I'm telling you, there's thousands and thousands of yes cars get into the same situation. Nobody gives a crap at all. People actually die. In Tesla, nobody died from those fires, right? All right, guys, there are so many other stories to report, so let's move on. But before that, let me remind you that this show and this channel is sponsored by Evanex, the aftermarket accessories for Tesla, and if you're looking to get one from them, just like I have a few myself, there's a discount code that they've created specifically for this community in the description of this video. Okay, so another interesting news. Remember this picture that you've probably seen a lot. This is kind of a driverless car that the GM is calling Cruise AV. It's based on Chevy Bolt, and they're just about to put in $100 million to put that into production, and they're looking to start next year. They're saying it's ready. Now, I don't know if the wheel is going to be optional, just simply because, you know, I don't think the laws are going to be there as far as not having any kind of manual controls. Now, I know Volkswagen has also just introduced their ID Vision, and they also have no wheel, but I have a feeling this is going to be at least an option. If not, they're just gonna put the wheel right back in. By the way, I hope this ugly thing on top of that does not go in production. No, this is the photo from their official site, so that looks like they might just be using that ugly hat on the. And I mean, this was a rider, Raiders, and all kinds of equipment on top of that. Looks like test equipment, but if they're actually gonna go in production with it, yeah. Ugly. Let me know if you think that it's fine or not. So that's exciting, because it's another step into this whole driverless future. By the way, they're not going to be making it for us. They're going to be making it for themselves, because they're starting their own service. They're right now conducting tests with their own employees in San Francisco. The Cruise Automation, I believe, they're based in San Francisco. So. Yeah, physics says, I find that console weird having it in the middle, yet no wheels, so why put it in the middle? Well, you put it in the middle because I think is because you want the passengers to be able to access it as well. As a matter of fact, if anything, I always wondered why it was in the middle and not closer to the actual driver. So I think that's fine. And who knows, maybe somebody in the passenger seat can control the car as much, or everything in the car as much the person in the driver's seat. There is no driver's seat anymore, right? So by the way, before I move on to the next story, please go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, because it makes it do much better in the afterlife when I repost it for everyone. Okay, more news for Tesla. Okay, so there are a couple of Tesla updates. One is for it looks like starting last month, the Model S and Model X cars have a new hardware that controls the monitor, so the monitor response is actually much faster. There are a bunch of videos comparing side by side, and indeed it looks to me like it responds much faster. I myself had many issues with it, because sometimes, especially with my my streaming service, where I have to go scroll back and forth between the little album covers, and every time it kind of freezes, and then I touch it, and then boop, it starts playing the radio station that I wasn't intending to play. The zoom in obviously has a lag. I think we've all experienced that. And I think when I scroll up and down the previous or favorite addresses, you know, every time I scroll and then I click on it, it actually, because it's kind of still scrolling, it still thinks that I actually wanted it to stop. So I ended up having to click or touch the address twice. So I'm hoping it's going to solve all of those problems. This is not something that you can get in an over-the-air update. This is for those who are buying the new Model S and Model X cars starting last month. That's pretty exciting. Now, another thing that Tesla is doing using the over-the-air update is they are finally rolling out an update for the autopilot. Now, there are no awesome new features, but it looks like people are reporting that the staying in the lane part of it is much better now. People felt like they were kind of going back and forth between the lines. I guess they're saying it's a ping pong effect, and now it's much smoother. So again, no new features, but it looks like the ride is much smoother. It looks like they are rolling out updates that are going to be the basis for future updates and improvements to autopilot. So that is pretty cool. I mean, I can't wait to experience it myself, but I can't because I have the good autopilot, which is 1.0 version that works just fine. By the way, just wanted to remind you guys that Saturday is now my weekend interview show where I interview people, and I'm actually, it's turning out to be a pretty good schedule now that I'm able to book some guests. As James Cook is going to come in on the 24th. Then I got this EV blogger that's huge on LinkedIn out of all sites. That's pretty cool. Roger Atkins, really cool guy. I think you guys will enjoy it. And Zach and Jesse will join us from Now You Know. In April, I'm working on a few others, but just wanted to kind of let you know that a few hopefully familiar faces are coming up, and James Cook is going to be next. Can't wait. I met him here when he was at the Tesla factory. Really cool guy, so I can't wait to talk to him. You know, very interesting perspective. I mean, he lives in Europe, so that is definitely going to be a cool interview, and we'll ask some live questions from the audience as well. Now, this Saturday, I'm not going to do an interview because I am going to be at this event, which is the drag race where some Teslas will participate. So I'm going to go there to Sacramento, and I will broadcast live at the regular 11 a.m. time, but I will try to maybe go back and maybe do a live feed from a Tesla, one of the Tesla races for you guys. So I think it's going to be cool. Cook says, can't wait to see Zach and Jesse on the show. This is my third collaboration with them, so I'm definitely looking forward to it myself. All right, so more news. Okay, well, I hate when that happens. All right, so Nissan Leaf is something that has pretty much been really pushing Nissan forward with the electric car movement, and they're now investing $9.3 billion. And I crunched some numbers earlier this morning. I can definitely report you that's a lot of money, almost $10 billion. They're investing into China, where they have in partnership with Dongfeng Group. As you know, in China, whenever you want to make anything, cars or whatever, you have to partner up with a Chinese-based company. You cannot own more than 50% of it. So they've been already in partnership there, but they're really trying to make a push. They really want to become a #1 car manufacturer in China. I'm talking about Nissan. So they're going to invest a lot of this money. They're going to definitely concentrate on their electric car production, which is mainly Nissan Leaf, the new Nissan Leaf. So I am definitely excited about that because you know, that's a better competition with Chinese companies is pretty good, and Nissan with their new technology and the newer Nissan Leaf, I'm really excited about them, you know, for that. So I know I'm really late on these comments, guys, and I know you are excited about Zach and Jesse and James, Bjorn, Chris. Bjorn hasn't been really nice to me, to be honest with you, in person or online. I have no reason why, so I'm not even going to reach out to him. I'm only kind of reaching out to people who's been nice to me when I meet them. But that's very unfortunate, I have to say. All right, one more news. Audi e-tron GT they're teasing with some images here that you can see. There are a couple of other ones. So they're basically looking to kind of get into it very quickly in the next couple of years. This is obviously going to compete with the Porsche Mission E and Tesla Model S. Not too many specs, but this is definitely something that they're, you know, basically targeting those two cars. So they'll come out with specs in a little while. For now, of course, Audi e-tron SUV is coming out this year with a decent range, decent looks. I've been reporting on it, so that's another thing. That's another thing that's happening in the universe of electric cars. Another prototype. I mean, this is just kind of a drawing, but you know, I'm pretty sure they're serious with moving forward with that. By the way, I just want to let you know, if you want to support the show, you can with anywhere from a hug all the way to full access to my pictures and videos. This week, I'm actually per popular demand, I guess, you wanted me to interview my girlfriend on the air here for the interview, but I got some really, you know, industry insider and YouTuber guests. But this is the interview that I posted there because before I interviewed Tesla owners at the Supercharger in Mountain View, we kind of ran through, you know, this is kind of warmed up there, just interviewing her as if she was, I mean, she's a Tesla owner, but as if she was one of my guests, and that's how we warmed up. I thought it was actually a pretty funny interview, but you guys wanted to see a little bit more of her, so there you go. For my Patreons, I'm posting it, and you can check it out. Again, thank you for supporting the show. Again, it is in the description of this video. You can check it out. One last thing, of course, we're going to talk about a comment of the day, which today is actually comments of the day because you guys actually were a little funny in your comment section. let's see, and there are quite a few of them. So my question of the day was, what should be semi-truck's next destination besides your house? Because I thought people would say, yeah. So Mark say they should turn off the anti-slip and do donuts in front of Mercedes-Benz dealerships. I thought that was actually a genius idea. I wouldn't mind watching that, rubbing it in their faces. RB says my neighbor's house. I guess I left a loophole right there. James says, Alex, the semi should make a run to Canada, and it should be pulling a car carrier full of Model 3s on the way also. Might as well start our deliveries to extend your tax credits. Only thinking of our US neighbors. So, guys, thanks for being funny and creative. I really appreciate it. So, you know, keep posting the comments. I always definitely check them out in the description, in the comment section of each of my video. I think that is like best part of my day where I get to check out what you guys have to say. I know I didn't get to a lot of comments in the chat room. Sorry guys, I've been really trying to keep the show closer to 10 minutes and I've been going over 15 and now it's like even closer to 20. Just a lot of news. So we're gonna talk about it tomorrow. I'll read a little bit more comments in the chat. And by the way, I'm going to keep this chat. I know you can see it in the replays and everything, but it's a big part of my show, you guys. And some people are watching it on their television sets or embedded or on their iPads and they can't see the replay from YouTube. So I'm going to keep it here. I know a few of you guys asked that. All right, guys. No, not yet. But... All right, sorry, just a lot of things happening with this. But tomorrow, 11 a.m., once again, we're going to meet here and talk about more news. Everything's going to be as exciting as today, hopefully. All right, I'm gonna go now. So see you tomorrow, and of course, remember to stay charged.